Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance. Today we're doing something a little different. We're not simply showing you 3 defensive teams. We're talking about how to build a defense. Because that's where many Guardians make the biggest mistake. They copy a team from YouTube. They place it in cross-server. And they hope for the best. But that's not how great defenses are built. Great defenses aren't about finding an unbeatable team. Because let's be honest. There isn't one. Every defense can be beaten. The real objective isn't to become impossible to defeat. The objective is to make your opponent think. To force them to train. To force them to use heroes they didn't want to use. To make them waste counters on one team and suddenly discover they no longer have those heroes available for the next one. That's where cross-server is won. Not through power alone. Through planning. Through psychology. Through understanding what your opponent needs to beat you. Today I'm going to show you the 3 defensive cores that, in my opinion, currently define Hero Wars Alliance. Everything else is built around them. Core number 1, Satori. Let's start with Satori. And honestly, Satori never stopped being dangerous. People often focus on his burst damage. But that's not what makes him terrifying on defense. It's uncertainty. Fox marks are unpredictable. Sometimes they explode immediately. Sometimes they force the opponent into awkward situations. Sometimes they completely change the rhythm of the battle. And when Satori is properly supported, he becomes an absolute nightmare. Heroes like Lian make approaching him much harder through additional control. Somna weakens physical attackers while reducing armor penetration and physical attack, making the front line significantly harder to break. Mu continuously disrupts the opposing team, creating more opportunities for Satori to survive long enough to detonate his marks. Cascade brings additional pressure and makes mistakes far more punishing. Folio dramatically increases the team's overall damage output. Then you have supports like Burner, or Alvanna. This is where things become really interesting. Burner provides constant healing while permanently increasing maximum health, allowing Satori's team to survive longer and continue building pressure. Alvanna brings protection that can completely change the outcome of explosive fights. And suddenly, a battle that looked completely under control disappears in just a few seconds. That's exactly why Satori remains such an incredible defensive hero. Not because he's impossible to counter, but because the opponent never feels completely comfortable fighting him. Core number 2, Tempest and Iris. Now we arrive at what is probably one of the strongest defensive combinations in today's meta. Tempest. Iris. Separately, they're already fantastic heroes. Together, they're a completely different story. Tempest constantly slows the pace of the battle. Less speed. Less energy. Less momentum. Every second Tempest buys, Iris converts into damage. And Iris, well, everyone knows what Iris is capable of today. Especially since damage over time became one of the strongest mechanics in the game. Her damage keeps increasing while Tempest continues delaying everything around her. The result is a defense that feels incredibly oppressive. Can you counter it? Of course. Every team has counters. But here's the important part. Sometimes those counters are exactly the same heroes you already needed to beat another one of your defensive teams. And now your opponent has a problem. Do they spend those heroes against Satori? Or do they save them for Iris? That's exactly the pressure you want to create. Because cross-server isn't played with one team. It's played with 3. And resource management matters just as much as power. Core number 3, Kendall, Phobos and Dorian. Finally, the trio that continues to impress me every single time I test it. Kendall, Phobos, Dorian. These 3 heroes work together beautifully. Dorian constantly keeps the team alive. His vampirism allows everyone around him to survive much longer than they should. Phobos immediately becomes a nightmare for heavy magic teams. He shuts down powerful mages, burns energy, applies control, completely disrupting enemy strategies. And while all that is happening, Kendall quietly prepares the final blow. Her pure damage, especially critical pure damage, simply deletes heroes. It doesn't matter how much armor they have. It doesn't matter how much magic defense they have. When Kendall starts landing those critical pure damage hits, heroes disappear. That's why this trio is so difficult to attack. You can't focus only on one threat. Ignore Dorian. The team refuses to die. Ignore Phobos. Your mage never plays the game. Ignore Kendall. And suddenly one of your heroes simply vanishes. Now here's the part many players misunderstand. These aren't fixed teams. They're cores. Around these cores, you adapt. Maybe your second team uses Yasmin, Soleil, and Octavia. Maybe your account performs better with different combinations. Test them. Train them. See what works for your heroes. The same applies to the third team. Maybe Burner belongs there. Maybe you move Burner from the Satori team and replace her with Hus. Why? Because Hus may give Satori's team exactly the additional survivability it needs against popular Iris counters. There isn't one universal answer. Your account is unique. Your investments are unique. Your opponents are unique. That's why training matters. And that's the real message of today's video. Don't build 3 teams. Build 3 problems. When your opponent opens your defense, you don't want them saying, "Oh, I know exactly how to beat this." You want them saying, "Damn. Now I have to train." If all 3 of your defensive teams require completely different counters, you've already won half the battle before it even begins. Because this game has always been about adaptation. Testing. Creating new counters. Finding new synergies. Learning from defeats. And becoming stronger because of them. These 3 cores are, in my opinion, the strongest foundations for defensive building in today's Hero Wars alliance. Everything else is built around them. So train. Experiment. Move heroes from one team to another. Challenge your guildmates. Watch your replays. And never stop improving your defenses. Because, sometimes, the strongest defense isn't the one with the highest power. It's the one that forces your opponent to think the hardest. Stay tuned. Stay sharp. And as always, salute and friendship.